So I just watched X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 7, Strangeland, Savage Heart. So let's talk about it. To be honest with you, I think this one, along with Season 1's Jubilee episode, were probably the weakest episodes out of the whole series so far. That's not to say it was a bad episode, because X-Men 97 is such high caliber, but relative to all the exciting and dramatic things that happened in the other episodes, this one kind of fell short for me. But let's talk about the fun stuff. First, we had a new title card for Polaris, who's now an integrated member of the X-Men team. So it's cool to get a shot of her title card and character card. But we also got a little bit of a throwback to when Mystique had given away Nightcrawler by putting him in the river, which becomes important later on in the episode. And I love how they keep giving you little clues in the intro to tell you about what's going to happen in each episode. And it's also a testament to how the X-Men team is a bit of a rotating door in the series, where some people, Wolverine goes off on his own and does his own missions. And then sometimes you bring in old X-Men to the fold. So in this episode, you have Polaris, but you also have Colossus, not quite joining the team until the very end. He joins another team, but nonetheless, you get these kind of old alumni, kind of tangential members coming back into the fold. We get a flashback of Genosha and the destruction there. We learn that Colossus and his sister Illyana, Magic, are both on that island when that happens. And tragically, Illyana passes away in Colossus's arms. And as a result of the perceived death of Magneto, it kind of ignited a new group called the Acolytes of Magneto, where Colossus and some other familiar mutants joined up. We learn that Graydon Creed, Sabretooth and Mystique's son, is running for president and is very anti-mutant. So the Acolytes are trying to capture him and make an example out of him. We get a shot of our X-Men team in their new suits. They're wearing these spiffy gray and yellow-gray tracksuits. So these new suits are actually based on Grant Morrison's run with the new X-Men from 2001. I like that they constantly change the uniforms, because it kind of keeps you guessing, right? Keeps you guessing on what style they're going to wear. Are they going to wear their individual unique uniforms? Or in this case, are they going to match and look more like a team? And here it actually kind of reminds me of the movie, like the old Fox movies uniforms, where it's mostly monochrome, all one color with some X design like across the chest. And especially Nightcrawler's suit, even though it had some, yellow highlights, which the old suits had certain colored, bordering the all black leather look. And it just felt very reminiscent of those movie costumes. So our team goes to Savage Land, where they're going to come across dinosaurs, but also an inhibiting tower that takes away their powers temporarily. They get captured by Exodus and his team of acolytes, and Colossus is there, but he recognizes the X-Men from the original series when they had their run-in and helped him fight Omega Red in Russia. And since the X-Men didn't have any powers, Nightcrawler smartly pleaded to have a trial with Colossus presiding over the fate of Nightcrawler's half-brother, Creed. It all goes south right before Colossus was about to announce his verdict, because Exodus just couldn't wait, and he wanted to just kill Creed. And that's when Bishop comes to the rescue with Polaris and jumps in and gives everyone their powers back by destroying the inhibiting tower, and you have a big brawl break out. Colossus takes the side of the X-Men, which was nice. It shows his loyalty to his old friends. Best line of the whole episode was when Nightcrawler says, "I pray that you can wield your sword better than you wield your tongue." And then you have this very deeply philosophical monologue from Nightcrawler as he's talking to Creed about the virtues of mercy and what that actually means. Is it more merciful to just kill him right where he stands, if that means saving so many mutants from the suffering that he's going to cause and let happen? But ultimately, of course, Nightcrawler let him survive and left him out in the snow. This episode really allowed Nightcrawler to shine and to show his personality and where he comes from, right? He's deeply religious and philosophical, and he contemplates morality and ethics. And he's kind of the voice of reason for the X-Men in a lot of situations when these kind of philosophical questions come up. Even with his eloquent and heartfelt speech in defense of Creed, Colossus at the end admitted that he was not convinced, and he was going to sentence Creed to death. But he said his sister would have been convinced, which is kind of showing the contrast between the two and acknowledging that perhaps his sister Magic is more compassionate than he is. I liked how they drew Illyana to look exactly like her counterpart in the live-action New Mutants movie played by Anya Taylor-Joy. She had the same hair, the same eyes, same features. It seemed very apparent to me that they were trying to capture the likeness of Anya Taylor-Joy's interpretation of Magic in this animated episode when they portrayed Illyana. Although it was intriguing to see Nightcrawler use compassion and advocating for a mutant hater like Creed, who just so happens to be his half brother. And it was cool to see the X-Men in their new gray uniforms. And it was very nice to have Colossus come back into the fold and at the end return to the X Mansion. But overall, this episode just kind of fell flat. It just wasn't as exciting as some of the other stuff we've seen so far. So I would rate this episode kind of lower than the other ones, but not to say, again, it was a bad episode. But then, of course, the very end when we see X-Force discovering Apocalypse's corpse, which was a shocking image to see a mutant as powerful as Apocalypse, who's seemingly immortal, just rotted away like a skeleton, and then Gambit's unaltered card left as evidence of what might have happened. So WTF, like what happened, right? So we saw in the previous episode that Apocalypse had converted a dead Gambit into one of his horsemen, Death, with the white hair and everything. So the cards also changed. So I'm not really sure what happened between that moment and here where the X-Force finds Apocalypse dead and Gambit's unaltered card. I don't know if Gambit was somehow able to change back into his normal form and took out Apocalypse. That's what it looks like. But obviously, more questions than answers. I am foaming at the mouth to get to the next episode where we can find out what is happening with Gambit. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts for this episode. Let me know what you think. We got 2 more left. I'm probably going to do one by one until we get to the finale. So let me know what you guys thought of this episode. What was your favorite moment? And what do you think happened with Gambit and Apocalypse? Would love to hear your theory in the comments. See you next time.